I see we're coming back from the buffet, from the coffee break. First of all, welcome in my new home city. I'm Viennese, as you maybe can hear from my accent. But I moved 2 years ago to this beautiful city. I live in Amsterdam, in one of these canals on the boat. And when Jennifer told me that Griff is moving to Amsterdam, I was obviously very happy. And I was also happy to show you some of my favorite concepts yesterday on the trend tour. And the next session is about growth. That's what I have done the last 15 years with my team, where there's a lot of team members in there, growing internationally. And we have 3 sessions in this part. The first session is about where to find the money, because it's not just how to grow, it's also where to find the money. The second session is a panelist with people who have a lot of experience, who run over 2,500 restaurants in over 30 countries. So I think we can learn a lot on this panel. And the last part of the session is an interview with my friend Luca, one of the co-founder and CEO of International from Italy, who did it a little bit different, the growth. So the first session, I'd like to welcome Stef from AMRO here on stage. Give him a warm welcome. We talk later a lot about how to find the right location, how to find the right partner, and which country to choose. But what we always forget is where to find the money. So Stef is one of the guys who you can call to find the money. I learned that they are one of the biggest financiers of our industry. And I think that's also a big thank you, because I remember 10 years ago when you like to open a restaurant, it was very, very difficult till impossible to get financing out there. And now yesterday on the trend tour, I was very surprised to ask a lot of these guys whom we visited on the road, said, where you got the money from? And I was expecting that they said friends and family, or they said like I had an uncle who had some money left, or found under my pillow. And all of them, or most of them, answered, no, I had my bank financing that. So I think it's a big credit for you guys to help us. So the next 15 minutes for Stef on stage. Show us the money, Stef.
Okay. We're going to show you the money. Welcome here in our beautiful city of Amsterdam. Hope you enjoyed it last night and will enjoy the next years. So we are quite a big financier in the Dutch hospitality industry, and I'm going to walk you through the expectations for 2019 and 20. We're going to start with the bitter and then end up with the sweet. So first of all, the bitter. If you take a look at the Dutch consumer confidence, then it has plummeted since last summer with over 24 points. You more or less see the same in the UK, where consumer confidence is at its lowest point in over 5 years. And in France, the consumer confidence is below its long-term average. The most happy consumers in Europe you'll find in Germany, where consumer confidence is still quite strong. And why is this important? It's correlated heavily with the growth of the out-of-home F&B industries. You more or less see the same when you take a look at the holiday patterns, but there's a delay in that. So when confidence is going down, you will see lower numbers of holidays, but only after 3 months, because people usually book in advance. With restaurants, you unfortunately see it almost immediately. Is that the biggest problem? I don't think so. The biggest problem is lack of staff. It was mentioned by the previous speakers before. We actually have clients closing up their businesses because it proves to be very hard to attract and retain, for especially chefs. There is some relief in the robotization and automation part, but there's still a lot to gain. If you take a look at the Dutch restaurant industry, you're not able to book a reservation in almost 50% of all occasions. And that's one of the reasons why TripAdvisor CEO Steve Kaufer compares the restaurant industry with the hotel industry of about 20 years ago. This is where the biggest gain will be. Although, to be honest, I don't think you should use the fork, for instance, that much, especially not in combinations with discounts. Discounts will pose a threat to your quality perception, and in my opinion, it's a red flag, not only for me as a consumer, but for me as a lender as well, when you give up to 50% discount on your menu. What I do think is wise to do is try to heighten customer experience, and you see that in, for instance, movie theaters, where you pay a premium for better chairs. I've done some extensive research in theme parks as well, and over 9 out of 10 theme park visitors does actually want to plan his or her visit in advance, in detail. So one attraction after another, and then also be able to make a reservation in the restaurant over there. And it ends up with the souvenir shop. 8 out of 10 is willing to pay an extra for a VIP experience, something that allows them to make a smile on the faces of the persons they are with. And I believe, this is an absolute opportunity for the Dutch restaurant industry. If you don't digitalize yourself, it will be done for you. This graphic shows the growth of the market for home delivery of prepared meals. It's a market which will reach 1.9 billion euros in the Netherlands. And that accounts of, that's almost 10% of total restaurant sales. You have to be there quickly as well, because due to network effects, the bigger parties are getting bigger. Customers usually go to the marketplace, which offers the most variety and choice. And obviously, restaurants go to the marketplace with the most consumers. There is one problem in the Netherlands. If you compare it to other countries in Europe, the level of consolidation is very, very low. For instance, in the city of Amsterdam, if you take a look at the fast food restaurants in Amsterdam, less than 30% is part of a chain. If you compare that, for instance, to Madrid, Sevilla, or even Stockholm, the same percentage is above 70%. In the evening restaurant sector, only 3% of Amsterdam-based restaurants are part of a chain. Compare that to London, it's 20%. Compared to other British cities, it's often way higher than that. Are the restaurant chains, especially the QSR chains, doing something about it? Yeah, absolutely. And there's an enormous pipeline, for instance, of Domino's and New York Pizzas, both wanting to establish at least 100 more restaurants in the Benelux within the next 2 years. There are, however, big differences as well. Because if you take a look at the turnover, you see that an average Domino's pizza place has a turnover on F&B which is lower, for instance, when you compare it to the gas stations of Shell or BP. A great source on that is the Food 500, which is published yearly, and it will give you a good overview of the who is who and how big the parties are. M&A, we're seeing and expecting quite something about M&A. We're seeing Coca-Cola and supermarkets going into, for instance, the coffee companies, mainly because of the higher margins and the growth. But especially on the supermarket level, I expect some deals this year to come, because it allows them to sell. If you have a premium brand as a restaurant, it will allow them to upgrade their home brands and make extra margin on that as well. Saturation will need us to think about differently about depreciation. At the moment, we take a look at the FF&E, and well, if it's more or less possible to depreciate that within 6 years, we're fine. I don't think 6 years is viable anymore. Probably we have to go to 3 or 4 years. And what I do actually like, also from a sustainability point of view, is restaurants like the Greenhouse, who are actually renting their FF&E. Pavarotti has been able to turn FF&E into a profit center due to its cooperation with a big retailer. Those are nice insights, I think. And obviously, the biggest insight and the biggest chance there is, and if there's one thing I would like you to remember of this presentation, this would be it. Those people are skiing without skis. Skiing stands for spending the kids' inheritance. My parents do it at least 5 or 6 times a year. They go to Greece, and I'm absolutely fine with it. But with an aging population, this is where the growth is. Those people are not dependent on consumer confidence. This is also where the money is. And you see it when in spendings. Everybody is talking about millennials. Millennials go to restaurants somewhat more often, but they spend almost a third less. This is by far the most interesting and fastest growing segment there is in whole of Northern Europe. And to be honest, I don't know that much restaurant chains which are, well, actively targeting those interesting people. Because how can you target them? Well, let's start with smaller portions. Only 1 in 7 Dutch restaurants often side dishes. Well, I'm hoping that number will go up to 7 in 7, because it will allow you, and by the way, does anybody know what the pineapple stands for? The pineapple is the international symbol for hospitality. And if you take that symbol, and before you were able to buy a big piece of pineapple, 2 kilos, for 80 cents a kilo, but just by rethinking portions, you will be able, to get 17.5 euros a kilo. So it's an interesting thought. Localized offerings can be used as well, and especially when you take a look at the location. In hotels, you see that customer reviews will go up after the staff has been trained to tell guests more about the uniqueness of the location. So not only location will be will improve, but also the customer review on stuff itself. Other areas for improvement. We asked 400 consumers in December last year. How do you enjoy your customer experience? What do you think about the Dutch restaurant industry? And well, they are quite happy with the options they have on the menu. They're quite happy about the first contact with the staff. But it all goes sour when you want to reorder something. And obviously, paying is a hiccup as well. And here in the Netherlands, we like to share our bills. It's like going Dutch. And I believe there is some area for improvement as well. And we actually made a business model as a bank out of this. It's called Tikkie. If you talk to anyone from the Netherlands, he or she will be able to tell you what Tikkie is. It's it's a way of, well, splitting your bills. And we are offering that to the Dutch restaurant industry as well, and we're stepping up by also experimenting on how to, well, incorporate your menu and speeding up the process of reordering. And if anyone wants to be part of our pilot, then please let me know. I will be here all day, and I'm more than willing to grab a cup of coffee. So thank you very much.
So much, Stef. So I think what we learned, we